Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Today marks the 65th anniversary that Mrs. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white person. And I wanted to touch on something here because as of late, whenever there's a Rosa Parks birthday or we mention Rosa Parks, something always comes up. And what comes up is this young lady here, 15-year-old Claudette Colvin. Now, Claudette Colvin did play a role in this particular movement, but many feels that her role in the movement was pushed back. I guess you could say to the back of the bus in favor of Mrs. Parks. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible as to why that is. Yes, 9 months before Rosa Parks had her incident on the bus, 15-year-old Claudette Colvin had an incident where she actually refused to give up her seat on the bus. But let me explain to you a little bit about what happened. She was sitting next to a pregnant female on that bus named Ruth Hamilton. Ruth Hamilton also refused to give up her seat because she was pregnant and she did not want to stand. Now, many feel that since Claudette was the one who was dragged off the bus, arrested, and tried in juvenile court, that she should be given credit. To an extent, I agree. And many feel as though, because of her darker complexion, that colorism played a role. I am not going to agree with that, because this is the reason why, what they're not telling you about Claudette. Claudette was they were going to initially use Claudette Colvin as a spark that started the civil rights movement. But after that incident on the bus, this 15-year-old ended up getting pregnant by a married white man. They felt that her reputation, and keep one thing in mind, people, in the 1950s, you just did not get pregnant. A single female, black, white, or whatever, just did not become a single mother. So they felt that she had the wrong reputation for them to take it higher, to elicit sympathy in the courts because of her pregnancy, being unwed 15-year-old, soon-to-be mother. This was the wrong image. And for that particular time, back then, in that era, I do agree. So what the leaders did is that they dropped her. Because people, this was a very important defining moment in time. And they needed the right image to put forward. Many will say it's because of Rosa Parks' light skin and hair texture. Well, if that was the case right there, why would they ask her to give up her seat on the bus in the first place? This wasn't the first time. She was asked many times to give up her seat on the bus. In fact, she had a 10-year history with the driver who forced her to give up her seat on the bus. She knew the driver. So if this came into play, why not just let her slide and not give a request that she gives up her seat on the bus if her fair complexion was such an advantage? One thing about Rosa Parks that people need to understand was that she was a secretary of a local chapter of the NAACP. She was very well known within those circles. She was an icon. Even then, she was, imagine a pastor or, the first lady, how they can be well known. Well, Rosa Parks was bigger than that. She knew the civil rights leaders of those particular days. She knew Dr. King. She was very well entrenched into that movement. They knew her. They felt more comfortable with her. This was planned. They had planned on doing this, but on that particular day, Rosa said that all she wanted to do was just go home. So Rosa Parks was a grown adult who knew these leaders, who they would galvanize behind her. So I'm just noticing that on certain online forums, pages, groups, the colorism thing is coming up, where people are automatically assuming that it's because of her light skin that she was able to get things done. No, it was be more because she was connected, who she knew. And this 15-year-old girl right here was still in high school. She had too many other things to worry about. Even her own mother told her to back off and let Rosa take the heat. What can she do, though, if she became pregnant after that, a soon-to-be mom at 15 years old? No, so I wish that people would really understand what really happened back then as to why they put Rosa Parks smartly in the forefront of that particular movement. I think it was a good decision. It was the right decision because the courts would never have sympathized with a 15-year-old who was visibly pregnant out of wedlock. And one thing more I want to mention about the bus lines that people talk about. Why didn't she use a black bus line? Okay, the black bus lines did not go everywhere. They had codes back then. They had restrictions. They did not go everywhere. If my understanding is correct, they only ran at a certain time. And also, too, they were not in operation 24/7. This is the reason why Rosa Parks and many other blacks used white bus lines. They used black bus lines in addition to white bus lines. So, is there a place for this 15-year-old girl? Yes, there is. She's being mentioned. She's being recognized, but not on the level that Rosa Parks is. Let's face it. For certain positions, you must have the proper image. That's important. Not that you have to be a saint, but we're talking about an era of the 1950s, 60s. You have to have a certain image back then. So I think it's understandable why they chose to go with Rosa Parks as opposed to 15-year-old pregnant Claudette Colvin. So there is no need to cast doubt or wonder or be bewildered as to why Rosa Parks is the icon that she is. Through bravery, through fortitude, through dedication, she deserved it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that was another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you beyond and through.